What's going on, y'all? I'm Saint29 and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a little bit since I put out my last video where I talked about my preseason top 10 running back rankings for the 2020 NFL Draft, but this video will continue my preseason top 10 rankings with the wide receiver position. Now, I'm super pumped to be talking about this group because the talent does not just end with the top 10 players. This wide receiver class overall is looking to be one of the best, if not the best wide receiver class of all time. There's a good chance we're going to see 5, 6, maybe even 7 wide receivers go in the first round in April. But before I do get started, I just want to remind everyone, everything I am about to say about these players are my own thoughts and opinions. They're not the end-all be-all. On top of that, I am ranking them 1 through 10, but this is as much a watch list for the 2019 season as much as it is a true top 10 rankings video. Also, I would love to hear what y'all think about this wide receiver group down in the comment section. Please share your thoughts, but all I ask of you guys is that you respect everyone else that shares theirs as well. So, to kick off this list, at number 10, I have Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan. Peoples-Jones is headed into his junior season at Michigan and measured in at 6 feet 2 inches and 208 pounds. Last season, he played in 13 games, had 612 receiving yards from 47 receptions, which is a 13 yards per reception average, and scored 8 touchdowns. In his career for the Wolverines, he has played in 26 games, has 889 yards off 69 receptions, a career average of 12.9 yards per reception, and scored the 8 receiving touchdowns. So my biggest thing for Peoples-Jones, I guess it's 2 things. The first being, he has not had the best quarterback play his entire career at Michigan. A lot of inconsistency due to injury, but with Shea Patterson having another year in the system, it will be the best Donovan has seen yet. The second thing, and most important to me, is that Peoples-Jones stays healthy. Now, he did play the full season last year, but another full season will put NFL front offices at ease because those are really the only things that have held him back in his career so far. Peoples-Jones has great size and athleticism combination. I feel the Wolverines' offense is going to be very good this season, and it's really because they have such a fantastic wide receiver room, with Peoples-Jones being the leader in there. If he gets targeted more in 2019, he's already an efficient weapon with a passer rating of 126.6 when targeted last year. He averaged 2.07 yards per route run and totaled 30 plays that went for a first down or a touchdown. And just a reminder for that last stat, he only had the 47 receptions last season, so that means 64% of the time his reception was a conversion of some type. So I really think Donovan Peoples-Jones is very talented, and as of right now, I imagine him as a day 2 pick with the possibility for late day 1 upside come April. Next up on the list at number 9, I have KJ Hill from Ohio State. Hill is going to be a senior in 2019, measuring in at 6 feet tall and 195 pounds. In 2018 for the Buckeyes, he played in 14 games, had 885 yards and 70 receptions, averaging 12.6 yards per reception, and scored 6 touchdowns. Over his career, Hill has played in 36 games, has 1,696 yards, 144 receptions, an average of 11.8 yards reception in his career, and scored 10 touchdowns. Last season, KJ Hill had some really nice plays for the Buckeyes. A few one-handed catches, some nice rack plays as well, as he had 539 yards after the catch. And he did it all while lining up in multiple spots. He played a bit outside, but also played a pretty good amount in the slot. He has a really good pair of hands and pretty decent route running. With all the departures Ohio State had after 2018, Hill looks to be the number 1 guy in Columbus. And hopefully Justin Fields will look to him early and often because he's a solid playmaker and could help Fields get his legs underneath him in 2019. As of right now, and this is with a fair amount of projection for him, but I think Hill is a solid day 2 pick at his position. We just have to wait and see how his role grows at OSU. Going on to number 8, I have Jalen Reagor from TCU. So Reagor is going to be a junior this season. He measures in at 5 foot 11 inches and 195 pounds. Last season, he played in 13 games, had 1,061 receiving yards, 72 receptions, which averaged out to be 14.7 yards per reception, and he scored 9 touchdowns. In his career, he played in 27 games, has 1,637 yards, 105 receptions, a career average of 15.6 yards per reception, and 17 career touchdowns. So, first thing for Jalen Reagor is he is very, very, very fast. He's an absolute burner on the outside, but TCU uses his athletic ability all over the field. Along with his receiving production, he did also have 21 carries for 235 yards and 2 scores last season. They're pretty smart to be getting him the ball as much as possible because he can take anything to the house. I've really talked about his speed, but for his build, the dude is crazy strong. He has a 620-pound squat, a 380-pound bench, and a 380-pound clean. If Reagor can get some much improved quarterback play in 2019, his ceiling is sky high. And then again, even if the quarterback play doesn't improve and he puts up similar, if not better, numbers, a lot of eyes will be on him after he tests the combine, just wanting to give him a chance in a more efficient offense at the next level. Right now, though, I see him as a day 2 player, but with his ability, I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow sneaks into the first round. Moving right along now to number 7 on the list, I have Tylan Wallace from Oklahoma State. Wallace is a junior this year. He is 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. In 2018, he played in 13 games, had 1,491 yards, 86 receptions, averaging 17.3 yards per reception, and scored 12 touchdowns. In his career, he has been a part of 18 games, has 1,609 yards, 93 receptions, a career average of 17.1 yards per reception, and scored 12 total touchdowns. So, Wallace is similar to Jalen Reagor in that they are tremendous deep threats, but Wallace is way ahead of Reagor in terms of tracking the football in the air and then high pointing it, in my opinion. Even only at 6 feet tall, he always looks to be getting more vertical than anyone that is trying to cover him, and this ability contributed to him making 37 explosive plays, which means the play went for 15 yards or more. And on top of that, he had 23 contested catches last season, which led the Big 12. One thing I would like to see from him is how much he can develop his route tree in 2019, but with what he does down the field, I don't think it's a deal breaker for teams. I'm really curious though, just to see how he tests the combine, because if he runs really well, someone will take a shot on him early because of what he can do already. And when I say early, I'm talking about an early second round, late first round shot for Tylan Wallace. On to number 6 now, where I have Colin Johnson from Texas. Johnson is going to be a senior for the Longhorns in 2019. He is 6 feet 6 inches tall and weighs 220 pounds. Last season in 2018, Johnson played in 13 games, had 985 yards, 68 receptions, averaging 14.5 yards per reception, and scored 7 touchdowns. In his career, he has been in 35 games, has 2,065 yards, 150 total receptions, averaging 13.8 per reception in his career, and scored 12 total touchdowns. One of the biggest surprises in the 2019 draft was the fact that Colin Johnson returned to school, especially with the fact that Little Jordan Humphrey was coming out, but I really don't think Sam Ehlinger and the Longhorns are upset he came back. Johnson is a big body receiver with much more athletic ability than most people would think. This makes him a reliable and productive target. He had 270 yards after the catch last season, a passer rating of 119.6 when targeted, and had 47 plays that went for a first down or a touchdown. Plus, as many people who have watched Johnson know, he's a great deep ball receiver, and the passer rating of 140.0 when targeted deep just backs up that statement. As a core piece of the Texas is back movement, Johnson can be uber productive in 2019, locking himself in as a first round choice in the 2020 NFL Draft. Breaking into the top 5 now, in the number 5 spot, I have Tyler Johnson from Minnesota. So Johnson is going to be a senior for the Golden Gophers. He measures in at 6 feet 2 inches and 200 pounds. In 2018, Johnson played in 13 games, had 1,169 yards, 78 receptions, averaging 15 yards per reception, and scored 12 touchdowns. In his career at Minnesota, Johnson has played in 30 games, has 1,987 yards, 127 receptions, averaging 15.6 yards per reception in his career, and scored 20 total touchdowns. So I'm going to lead this off with Tyler Johnson is my favorite wide receiver in this class. Yes, I have him ranked here at number 5, but I absolutely love his game. Playing at Minnesota, he really doesn't get the most attention. He doesn't have the best quarterback play, but what makes him the best is that he can take advantage of everything he's given. He's great playing inside the slot, or outside the numbers. He is productive at all levels of the field. Just to quickly go over some of his numbers in 2018, he had 29 explosive plays, 61 plays that went for a first down or a touchdown, 16 contested catches, which led the Big Ten, and a 107.3 passer rating when targeted. For me though, the 2 biggest numbers that show you what kind of receiver Tyler Johnson is would be that he averaged 3.15 yards per route ran, again leading all Big Ten receivers, and had a grade of 89.7 in the red zone. And just to top it all off, he's actually pretty good at blocking. I know a lot of people have been hyping him up lately, and me posting this video now makes me appear late to this party, but I've enjoyed watching Tyler Johnson for a while now, especially early in his career when he kept popping up on PFF's weekly stat leaders for conference, at just certain positions. had to check him out. If you get a chance to watch him play at all this year, please do it. You will not be disappointed because I firmly believe you are watching a future 2020 first round draft pick. Next on the list at number 4, I have Laviska Shenault Jr. from Colorado. Shenault is a junior for the Buffaloes, measuring in at 6 feet 2 inches tall, 220 pounds. Last season, he had 9 games played, 1,011 receiving yards, 86 receptions, averaging 11.8 yards per reception, and scored 6 touchdowns. In his career, Shenault has played in 16 games, has 1,179 yards, 93 receptions, averaging 12.7 yards per reception in his career, and scored the 6 touchdowns. Shenault was getting a lot of attention before going down with a toe injury that limited him in 2018, but he still posted the stat line that he did, so that's promising for a healthy 2019. He is getting a lot of praise from analysts like Daniel Jeremiah, who just recently compared him as a combination of Mike Williams and Juju Smith-Schuster, which is pretty amazing. And in all honesty, I do agree with his high praise. The athletic things he can do at his size is incredible, and he honestly is just a blast to watch play. He is a wide receiver, but he does so much in the offense. He's lining up all over. He's run blocking. He's sometimes pass blocking. He's excellent after the catch. He looks like a running back sometimes because he's not afraid of contact. For me, the biggest thing, I just want to see him stay healthy, be super productive, and develop his route running. After all that, I don't see much of a limit on how high he can be taken in the 2020 draft. Alright, so kicking off the top 3, at the number 3 spot, I have T. Higgins from Clemson. Higgins is headed into his junior season, listed at 6 feet 4 inches tall and 200 pounds. In 2018, he played in 15 games, had 936 yards, 59 receptions, averaging 15.9 yards per reception, and scored 12 touchdowns. In his career at Clemson, he's played in 22 games, has 1,281 receiving yards, 76 receptions, averaging 16.9 yards per reception, and scored a total of 14 touchdowns. In 2018, Clemson lit the football world on fire with the combination of Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Justin Ross, and the aforementioned T. Higgins. Producing highlight reel catches regularly, Higgins is one of the best offensive players in college football. Pairing his size with his speed, he can regularly get in position on a DB and then use his body to block them in a jump ball situation. His ceiling is another one that I really don't see having a limit. If he can be as efficient and reliable as he was in 2018, when he had a passer rating of 131.0 when targeted and only dropped 3% of his targets, he could post absurd numbers in the Clemson offense this year. He's already getting top 20 pick hype, and deservedly so. Higgins is another wide receiver in this class that should be taken very early next April. Going on to the number 2 spot on the list, I have CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma in this spot. Lamb is a junior this year, listed at 6 feet 2 inches and 189 pounds. Last season, he played in 14 games, had 1,158 yards, 65 receptions, an average of 17.8 yards per reception, and scored 11 touchdowns. Over his career at Oklahoma, he's played in 27 games, has 1,965 yards, 111 receptions, a career average of 17.7 yards per reception, and scored 18 total touchdowns. Lamb has had the opportunity to play with the likes of Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, and now in 2019 with Jalen Hurts. Some would say he's looked good because the quarterback play has done that for him, but I will agree to disagree and say that his wide receiver play has helped Baker and Kyler achieve what they did. He was one of the safer targets in college football last year, earning a passer rating of 145.2 when targeted. Then, when he did get the ball, he was efficient because he averaged 2.94 yards per route ran. He was utilized at every level of the field, running short crossing routes and earning yards after the catch, or equally using his athletic ability to get downfield and make plays. Without Marquise Brown as part of the offense, Lamb is going to be the number 1 option there, so look to see him take advantage and cement himself as one of the best wide receivers, not only in college football, but in the 2020 NFL draft. Alright, so now that we are here at the number 1 spot, I am going to take a little bit of time here to quickly highlight a few honorable mention wide receivers, players that I believe everyone should check out ahead of the 2019 season. The first wide receiver I want to mention is James Proche from SMU. Proche is a senior listed at 5'11", 190 pounds. Not a lot of people know that SMU has one of the best wide receiver duos in the nation, since they are overshadowed by wide receiver rooms at Alabama, Clemson, and Michigan. But you shouldn't really sleep on Proche, who leads this specific wide receiver room. In 2018, he had 28 explosive plays and a grade of 87.4 on 3rd and 4th down. He's a very reliable weapon with a good slot skill set. The second wide receiver I think y'all should check out is Denzel Mims from Baylor. Mims is a senior, measuring in at 6'3" and 215 pounds. Mims is one of the best wide receivers in the Big 12, but gets overlooked because of guys like Jalen Reagor, Wallace, Colin Johnson, and CeeDee Lamb. But he's been equally productive. As the #1 weapon for Charlie Brewer and Waco, Mims should again be an impact player and help Baylor be competitive in the conference. The final wide receiver I want to highlight is Kalijah Lipscomb from Vanderbilt. Lipscomb is a senior, listed at 6 feet 1 inches tall and 200 pounds. Lipscomb is another key piece of an interesting offense at Vanderbilt. In 2018, he had 32 contested catches and averaged 2.47 yards per route run. Statistically, he was one of the best receivers in the SEC, which led to many evaluators taking notice. If he can come back in 2019 and play even better, he'll have a good amount of people talking during the pre-draft process. So, those are just a few guys I wanted to highlight for y'all. It was very hard to pick just 3 players because I had to leave wide receivers out like Henry Ruggs, Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, John Hightower, Juwan Johnson, Brian Edwards. There's so many wide receivers in this class with a good amount of talent. I think people are going to be very shocked at how many of these guys will go on days 1 and 2 of the 2020 draft. Alright, finally here at the #1 spot, and without much surprise I'm sure, I have Jeudy from Alabama. Jeudy is heading into his junior season with the Crimson Tide. He is listed at 6 feet 1 inches tall and 192 pounds. Last season in 2018, he played in all 15 games, had 1,315 yards, 68 receptions, averaging 19.3 yards per reception, and scored 14 touchdowns. In his career, he played in 23 games, has 1,579 yards, 82 receptions, a career average of 19.1 yards per reception, and scored a total of 16 touchdowns. The reigning Biletnikoff Award winner, Jeudy returns as the #1 pass catcher in a loaded Alabama receiving corps. Already he's getting compared to Odell Beckham Jr., and honestly, I really can't argue with it because he is dominant like OBJ. They both can attack a defense from the slot or lined up outside, in the short game or deep down the field, and they both have a wicked set of hands. He only had 4 drops last season, so what more can you ask for? Watching him play, I really can't find an aspect of his game that is bad. Sure, there's always room for improvement in areas, but as of right now, in my eyes, he is the most NFL-ready wide receiver prospect in the nation. Heck, he might even be the best wide receiver prospect ever, just in terms of what he can offer on day 1. He has a developed route tree, experience playing in different alignments, and a great combination of skill and athletic ability. I'm very confident to say that Jeudy will be a top 10, maybe even a top 5 pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. So y'all, there you have it. That is my preseason top 10 wide receivers for the 2020 NFL Draft. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. It would be a huge help and greatly appreciated. If you agree or even disagreed with anything I said, please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts as well. I would love to talk with you all about this wide receiver class or just some football in general. Also, if you really enjoyed this content, please subscribe, please hit the notification bell so as soon as I put out my next video. I plan on having the rest of my preseason positional ranking videos out well before the college football season kicks off. Again, I just want to thank y'all for watching, and I will be talking to y'all in the next video.